Hi and welcome to the Habitz Podcast. On today's episode, we've got Andy from Man Gang, who's going to be sharing with us some of his good habits when it comes to mental health. Thanks for joining us at the Habitz studio, Andy. So what makes you qualified to talk to us when it comes to mental health?
So I'm the founder of an organisation called Man Gang, which is a men's mental health peer support group, which I founded just over a year ago. Two reasons why I founded it. One reason is because I struggled in the past historically with my own mental health and would never talk to anybody about it. And the other reason is because I lost a very close friend to suicide.
So what actually is Man Gang? Is that an organisation where you help other people? Is it a group where you can talk to like-minded individuals? How does it work?
So it's a group for men. We meet in a informal setting. None of us are qualified counsellors. We're not psychotherapists or doctors or anything like that. We're just blokes that have been there, got the T-shirt, and can help other blokes with problems. It's not just mental health problems that we deal with. We get guys coming in that are having relationship problems. They might have problems with debt. They might be a gambler, drugs, you name it. The fundamental aim is to stop men from killing themselves.
So what are some of the bad habits that you see when it comes to mental health?
So bad habits that men really are bad at are things like admitting when there is something wrong. For many, many years we've had this stigma that surrounds mental health, and it only happens to people that are perceived as weak. It only happens to people that are in weak kind of positions, or they're not really the go-getters of society. And as men, we like to be seen as masters of our own destiny. And mental health, having poor mental health, really doesn't fit in with that stigma. So one of the biggest bad habits is the same as we are with our physical health. We wait until our leg is falling off before we go and see the doctor. Where if when we first cut it, we might get the help that we needed in a timely fashion. And we do exactly the same with mental health, if not worse.
So they're seeing that really then is like admitting that you might have an issue or feeling sort of down or low as a weakness.
That's what the stigma. That's what I put the stigma down to. And I've seen it a lot in the military, for example, in the construction industry. These bastions of male-dominated macho culture. The last thing you want your mates to be doing when you're sitting in the restroom having a brew and taking the mick out of each other is giving them extra ammunition for that banter.
Yeah. Because
you're going to get it from all angles, or you used to get it from all angles.
So I imagine in those environments, whether it be on the building site, whether it be the military, especially when you're away or whatever, you might not necessarily notice someone is suffering. So do you think it's easy for other people to notice when someone is suffering, or is there any sort of signs that they should be looking out for?
There's kind of two answers to that question, because I can answer it from my own perspective as being a sufferer of poor mental health. I also became a fantastic actor. I wouldn't let on to anybody that I was feeling weak in any way, shape or form. What that often led me to do, and this is only from my experience, was to almost over-egg the pudding. So I would become more boisterous. I would be doing more manly things. So I might start drinking more. Having a couple of extra shots with my pint when I'm out with the lads, just so I could reinforce that hard man kind of image, because I didn't want them to know that I was depressed. So that's a good giveaway. If people start engaging in unhealthy coping strategies, if their mood changes, if they start snapping when normally they're quite placid. A phrase we used to use in the military, particularly around enemy kind of actions, and mental health, poor mental health is the enemy that we're fighting here, was presence of the abnormal, absence of the normal. And that kind of fits with mental health as well. So if you know somebody really well, and all of a sudden there's a change and it's out of character, you've got to ask them why.
So now we've covered some of the bad things that, well, specifically men do when it comes to mental health. Is there anything that people watching this, good habits that we can learn from you so they can identify some of these things if they're happening within their business?
So within the business setting, I think key to this is knowing your employees. Now, when I say knowing your employees, I don't mean knowing their name, knowing what their job title is. Know who those people are. All too often, in the world of business, you ask somebody who they are, and you're going to get a stock answer. You're going to get a name, you're going to get maybe an age, You're going to get whether they're married with kids, and you're going to get their job title. And it's 2020, we can find that out other ways. When you ask somebody who they are, you really need to know who they are. Not who they were, not who they're going to be in 10 years' time, but who they are right at that moment in time. And you'll find when you think about it, you're not the same person every time that question's asked. So that's the kind of things you've got to do, is really know your employees and make them feel valued in everything that they do.
And say if you were an individual and you might be watching this and you think, do you know what, I'm struggling or suffering with things, with some of the issues that we've spoke about, is there anything that you think they should be doing? Or what would you recommend that they did?
Reach out. Absolutely reach out. I guarantee that something that's keeping you awake at 4 o'clock in the morning, that you don't talk about at break time, you don't mention when you go into work, guarantee somebody else in that workplace has been through the exact same issue that you've been through. Just try talking about it. Ask people. If they ridicule you, then they're not going to be a true friend. So find somebody in the business that you trust.
So there is truth in a problem shared is a problem halved. Do you really believe that?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So at the Man Gang, on a weekly basis, I see an improvement in the guys that are attending. They turn up, they open up, and they start to thrive.
And do you say as well that pretty much any problem that one of the people in that group would discuss has been experienced by a good majority of the people in that group anyway? So you'd be surprised at the advice or support you'd get.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And like you said, a problem shared is a problem halved. And with the wealth of experience that we have in the room. So in a typical Man Gang meeting, we've got a whole range of ages and life experiences, ranging from men just leaving school, to retired bank managers, to ex-professional footballers turning up at these meetings, and a whole wealth of different experiences.
Say if I wasn't willing to speak, so I've got a mental health issue, I'm struggling, but I don't feel comfortable speaking to a work colleague or my boss or someone like that. Imagine if there was another employee and they sort of recognise this, how would they approach this? So how would you recommend that someone would approach someone that they feel may be struggling or they are acting unusual? Have you got any sort of tips for those types of people?
So yeah, the usual thing we do when we come into the office, we ask, "How are you, mate?" And the stock answer, "I'm fine." If you know that there's something wrong with somebody and they've given you that stock answer, and you can see that their fingernails are bitten down, they're on their 20th Benson and Edges of the morning, they're on about their 15th coffee, the bags under their eyes, all that kind of stuff. If you can see that, ask them again and tell them, say, "Look, I've noticed something is wrong with you. Do you want to? Is there anything you want to share?" Take them to a comfortable environment. Take them somewhere they feel comfortable, and give them permission to open up to you.
So thanks for sharing some of these tips on good habits for mental health. I wanted to know where, if anyone's watching this, they've got some of these issues or they want to find out more about Man Gang, where would they find you?
So you can find us on all social media channels, so Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Just look for Man Gang UK. And we've got a website, mangang.co.uk, all hooked up to the messengers. We might not answer straight away, but we will answer pretty soon.
So there we go. Thanks to Andy for joining us in the Habitz Podcast studio, talking about some good habits when it comes to mental health. If you've got anything you'd like to share on this topic, don't forget to let us know in the usual places, and join us next time for some more good habits.